everybody, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm currently in the middle of moving and filming a lot of other content for you guys. I am literally so excited to move. Like, literally my neighbors, I feel like they just woke up or they're like finally starting to do shit with their day, because freaking literally as soon as I got up in my room to start filming, they started stomping everywhere. I can't really hear anything now. I mean, like, I low-key can, but I just decided to give it some time and I packed up a lot of my things in my closet, and sadly no fluffy headband today because I have everything packed up and I cannot find them for the life of me. But I'm literally so excited to move. Like, actually, like, nobody even knows how excited I am. I don't want to be here anymore. And a lot of people keep asking for like a story time on my neighbors. There's not really that much to tell, just because of the fact that like we haven't had that many interactions with each other. It's all been through the police, more on their side than mine. I only called the police on them one time, pretty much because I was sending noise complaints to the office that's in our apartments and they weren't doing crap about it. Like, we live in a rich white people neighborhood and pretty much everybody knows each other here except for my boyfriend and I, because we're young kids, he's black, in an all-white neighborhood. Like, it is freaking terrible. And you would think that that wouldn't make a difference, but we get treated so much differently than any other person who freaking lives here. Like, for example, the one day my boyfriend's friend was leaving, right? And this guy walked up to him as he's like driving out of our plan, and he's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "Oh, well, my friend lives here," pointing to my boyfriend. And the guy makes a comment saying, "Oh, I thought you had to have this much money to live here." Or he said, "I thought you had to make this much money to live here." Let me just say, if I was there whenever that guy said that, I probably would have hit him with my car and I would have shoved my paycheck down his throat. Anyways, whew. Can't get myself angry this early in the morning. So today I'm going to be doing an easy makeup look because I literally have all of my things packed away. You guys have been asking for an apartment tour. I will show you guys this apartment once everything is moved out, and then I also will show you guys the new apartment before we put everything in. And I feel like after I'll make a finished apartment tour whenever I have everything in there, or redecorating my new apartment or something like that. Let me know down below. Alright, so I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. So today's story time is actually mine, and I tell these stories in a first person point of view. If you don't like that, then you can leave. Also, for majority of the video, I will be looking in this direction. If you guys feel like you've heard this story time before, it's because I'm taking story times that I've done on TikTok and moving them over to YouTube, just with more detail. Story time about the worst night of my life. Alright, so a little background information. When this all happened, I was 16, about to turn 17, literally in like a month, I think. And my little sister was 13, about to turn 14 in like 1 week. Well, since I was 5 years old, my mom and my dad had been separated. And I want to say whenever I was 7 or 8, my mom had started dating this new guy. And my sister and I absolutely loved him. When we were younger, my mom had a lot of different guys in and out of our lives. And this was the one who stuck and we actually felt like was a second father figure to us. And by the way, my mom and this guy were not married, but we called him our stepdad just because he had been in our life for so long, and that is how I think of him. Well, like I said, my stepdad had always taken great care of my sister and I, and just to give you an example, well, when my sister and I would go up to visit our mom, my mom and my stepdad lived about 2 hours away from my dad's, and my stepdad would literally come and pick us up every single time because my mom would not want to drive the 2 hours to come and pick my sister and I up for us to stay the weekend. And whenever she would sober up, all she would want to do is go over to her friend's house and do more drugs. So my stepdad did not want us around that at all. So he would always make plans for us to do stuff so that way we wouldn't be in the house around her and stuff like that. And here's the thing, my stepdad stepdad, I literally commend this man so much, if that's even the right word. Even though he had a lot on his plate dealing with my sister and I and literally driving a 4-hour drive to go and pick us up and bring us back, he would never say anything bad about my mother. Never. Anytime that my sister and I would talk shit on our mom or be like, oh, I'm so pissed off at her because she's doing this, he would be like, well, give your mom a break, she's having a really hard time and stuff like that, and just make up excuses for her. And it's like, it was astonishing. But yeah, no, overall he was just a really good person, and my sister and I literally love him to death. Well, eventually one of my stepdad's friends became homeless and they needed a place to stay, so he had let him stay with him and my mom. Well, it turns out, I think a month or a few weeks later, my stepdad found out that my mom was this guy, you know, my stepdad's good friend, and he was literally heartbroken about this because pretty much everything that he did was for my mom. He bought a house for my mom so that way they would have a nice place to live. He was overworking himself and pretty much killing himself at a factory so that way he could make a living for my mom and us kids whenever we went up there. Like, she would rather run around with some hippie who has a bunch of kids to a bunch of different women than stay with the guy who stepped up to the plate for literally years. That is one thing I will never forgive my mother for. Never. So anyways, they broke up, and because my dad knew that my mom was on drugs at the time, he would not let us go visit her. He did not want us anywhere around that, which is very understandable. But because my dad knew how my stepdad had taken care of us and stuff like that, he was fine with us going to visit our stepdad. So the one weekend, my sister and I had made plans to go and see our stepdad, but this weekend I wanted to take my best friend with me because in the state of Pennsylvania you have to be 17 with a parent's signature to go tanning, and homecoming was coming up. My best friend and I were not 17. Well, up in this little ass town they didn't care. They just wanted your money. Well, I had asked my stepmom if I could bring my friend with me, and she said no, but I didn't care. I was gonna get my girl up there with me so we could go tanning to look good at homecoming. Period. Anyways, that day after school, my stepmom had work, and by the way, our parents were very, very, very strict. Like, we made up this whole plan so that way she could come to this place with me that's 2 hours away. Like, I had to call her stepmom and be like, hey, I really want to surprise my best friend and take her up to my mom's house. It's about 2 hours away, and a bunch of other lies like that. I eventually got away with it. But my best friend didn't know that she was gonna have to hide in my closet whenever she got to my house because my stepmom, like I said before, said no to her going with me. So like I said, after school, she got to the house and I snuck her in the closet. Well, my stepmom, she works a 12-hour shift. So she works from 6 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. Well, she came in my room and she got ready at my vanity, and she had said that she needed to borrow a pair of socks. The socks were in my closet. My best friend was hiding inside of my closet, like literally smack dab in the middle of my closet. Like, so I'm standing in front of the door and I was like, oh, okay, I'll get them. So I go in the closet and she's like, no. She's like, I'll get them. Why are you acting so weird? Why are you guarding the closet? And I'm like, ugh! Like, heart rate is at 180, my blood pressure's high, I'm scared as because I had never done anything like this before. This was in the middle of my rebel, so yeah. So my stepmom pushes me out of the way and she just stands there for a minute. And my sister and I are looking at each other like, and then she grabs the pair of socks and she comes out of the closet and she's like, you guys are so weird. And I'm like, what the where did my best friend go? Where did she go? Well, okay, so in my closet, there was a cube shelf, but it only had 3 cubes in it, and it was just one thing, right? Right next to that, there was a cardboard box, and right above that, I had all of my coats hanging. She got into this cardboard box, because it had a bunch of old clothes that we didn't want anymore, and she crouched down, and she hid there under the jackets. To this day, I still don't know how she did it. And whenever she walked out, my sister and I went over to the closet and we're like, looking for her. And she lifts up her head and I'm like, oh my God. Girl, where did you come from? So my stepdad eventually comes and he picks us up. And like I said, it was about a 2-hour drive up to where my stepdad lived. When we got up there, my best friend and I, we had went tanning, which was a very terrible idea because my best friend was pale. She didn't tan. No, not at all. She got burnt as hell. And if she allows me to, I will insert a picture of how burnt we got. I don't think she'll let me, but maybe she will. Anyways, now while I'm telling this part, remember not to judge me because I was literally 16 years old. Actually, no, I was 15 years old whenever this all happened. Okay, remember, I was 15 whenever this all happened. I was young, I was stupid, and yeah. Well, that night, my best friend and I were supposed to go and hang out with a few of my other friends up there. And she had never been up here or anything, so yeah. Well, my sister wanted to come with us. And remember, my sister is like 12 or 13 at the time. I got the ages so messed up, literally. So we took her with us and we didn't really want to because she was so young. Well, she eventually got mad at us because we didn't want to hang out with her and we left her at a pizza shop at 8 o'clock at night. Like I said, I'm not proud of this. I would never do this now. I literally, if I saw 15-year-old me walking away from her, I would have punched myself in the face and dragged myself back over there and made myself apologize. So my sister is pissed off, rightfully so, and now she wants to go and see my mom. My mom lives like, I want to say this town was very small. Like my mom lived 5 minutes away from where we were. It was like a 5-minute walk. So she had called my stepdad and she said, I want to go see my mom. Well, like I said to you before, my stepdad never said a bad thing about my mother. Anytime we wanted to go see her, we were allowed, which was probably not the best thing in this situation. He really should not have let my sister go there by herself, especially whenever my mom was dating this new guy. She wasn't even dating the same guy that she cheated on him with. She was dating some other guy, I'm pretty sure. So my stepdad, he takes her over there. But before that, she called my mom. She said, hey mommy, I'm in I want to come and see you. And my mom was freaking livid. And as soon as she got there, my mom bolts outside like she is pissed the off. She takes my sister into the house and I don't know how they got into this argument, but eventually it was like a screaming match between the two. My mom was trying to take my sister's phone off of her and my sister was like, whoa sis, you do not pay for this shit, don't touch it. And yes, my sister actually had talked to our mother like that because the thing is like our mom wasn't really like our mom at the time. She was more of an acquaintance. Like we would barely talk to her. She would come in and out of our lives, and when she came back into our lives, she would just expect us to open our arms up and say, come home mom. That's not how this works, sis. So yeah, they're arguing about that, and then eventually my sister calls me and she's like, you guys need to come pick me up now. Like our mom's going freaking psycho. There are apparently needles all over the place. This was literally like a trap house, guys. When I tell you a trap house, yes, it was like a freaking trap house. I remember the one time the summer before this, I went to go and visit her at that house because I was staying with my stepdad all summer pretty much. Well, I went to go visit her one time. She was literally slumped on the couch. Like she could not remember shit. She's laying there and she's like, sorry, I'm just really tired. Like that drive yesterday was like really intense. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, girl, that drive was literally like 4 days ago. Yeah. But anyways, in this house, the only thing keeping the freaking front door shut was literally a knife. Yes, a knife. It wasn't even like, it didn't have a holder for the knife to lock the door. No, sis. It literally was a freaking knife that was just jabbed in the door frame so that way the door couldn't open on the inside. Yeah. Well then, my mom calls me and starts arguing with me. Bad idea, sis. Bad idea. She was like, you freaking lied to me. You said that you weren't going to see him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't care. He's been there for us more than you have, sis. Every time that you were strung out, who would be there to go and take my sister and I camping or something like that so we wouldn't have to see you like that? My stepdad. Well, anyways, like I said, she calls me, she's freaking out. She's like, our mom's like on drugs, there are needles everywhere. My sister took the knife out of the door to try to leave and my mom ripped the knife out of her hand and started fucking pointing at her, walking closer to her. And my mom says, oh, what are you gonna do? Tell your dad that I tried to stab you? My sister says, yes, the Like literally her exact words. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like on the phone at the time and I'm like, girl, tell her, period. Anyways, so sorry, I'm like really getting into the shit. Whenever it comes to these situations, like especially involving my sister who's younger than me, like girl, don't do it. That is my baby, period. Anyways, so eventually my sister hangs up the phone and I do not hear from her, and now I'm getting super scared. Like the last thing I literally heard was there are needles all over the place and our mom is pointing a knife at me. So I tell my stepdad and we leave the house. And by the way, my friend is literally like, what the actual F is going on here? Luckily I had spent the summer before this in the town, so I knew exactly where everything was. So we drove to the house and my sister is like, I need picked up, like hurry up, like things are getting really bad. So we had my sister run over to the Sheets, and the Sheets was like not even a minute if you're running from wherever the hell my mom was staying. So my sister runs over to the Sheets, she gets in the car, and apparently she got out because my mom heard her boyfriend coming home. And my mom looks at my sister and she goes, you have to leave. Go out the back door. She lets my sister out the back door. The reason why this was the worst night of my life is because this is the first time that I ever thought that I was never going to see my sister again. And because since my mom was impaired and stuff like that and on drugs, who would have known what she would have done, and who would have known what her boyfriend would have did if he walked in that house and my sister was sitting on that couch. Just not things that you want to think about, you know? So 5 minutes later, we are back at my stepdad's house and I get a call from my dad. And my stepdad gets a call from the police. Trigger warning right here. My mom had called the police and said that we were staying with a guy who molests us and rapes us and holds us against our will. One, I'm sorry, but that is literally so freaking disgusting. How can you sit there and tell the freaking police, I don't care how mad you are, that a guy who is literally taking care of your kids anytime that we went to visit you, that he molests us and rapes us? It's freaking disgusting. Well, a little backstory on that actually. The woman that my mom was hanging out with at the time, my stepdad actually knew her because they grew up together. This was the town that my stepdad grew up in when he was younger. Well, this woman, like I said, that my mom was hanging out with, her and her boyfriend broke up and they had a 6-year-old girl, right? Well, this woman had pretty much been coaching her daughter to say that her dad molests her. So we can see where my mom got the idea. Anyways, so my dad calls me and he's like, yeah, no, I have to come pick you guys up tomorrow. Like, even though I get to decide who the hell you guys can go and visit, they're saying that it's probably just best if I come and pick you guys up tomorrow. So the next day, my dad comes and picks us all up, and he wasn't mad or anything like that. He was more pissed off at my mom for being a psycho. Surprisingly, he didn't get mad that my friend was in the car either. He just dropped her off at her house and then we went home. But yeah, shout out to all of these step parents who step up to the plate whenever it comes to kids that aren't yours. Like my stepmom, my dad wasn't on drugs or anything. My dad is a great dad, but you know, she didn't have kids and she stepped up to the plate, you know. My stepdad, he stepped up to the plate and took care of my sister and I when we would go up to my mom's. They really just do things that they don't have to do. Okay guys, so that is officially the end of today's story time. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more of me, hit that subscribe button. I have a few exciting videos coming for you guys within the next few weeks and I'm super excited. But if you guys want to keep up with me on any of my social medias, they will all be linked down below. And if you guys want to send in your anonymous story time to me, I will have that link down below also. If you want to know when I post my next video, make sure to click that notification bell, and I love you guys.